So I help out at my church Sunday school with the preschoolers when they're 4 and 5 years old, and I have a lot of fun in there. I normally hand out goldfish and water when it's snack time. I help set up the video sometimes when there's problems, and I help with crowd control. And I love it. The kids are fun to play with, except for a few of them. Some of the kids, they run around, they're really crazy, and it really bothers me a lot of the times. So sometimes they'll be stealing toys from other kids, they'll knock over their water, even though that just happens. It's still pretty annoying. They may be pooping in a corner, who knows, but it's just really annoying and bothersome. And I feel like even though they are smaller and younger, I feel like sometimes it's the parents' faults. They might not discipline their kids enough anymore. It used to be that kids would be disciplined a lot, 20 some years ago, maybe less. But I feel like if parents kept up that same amount of discipline, kids would be a lot easier to deal with, and I think they would respect older people and maybe even people my age a little bit more. So spanking. When I was a kid, I got spanked a lot because I was naughty, but it did help me learn. It helped me to not continue that same kind of behavior because I knew, because it'd bring pain with a wooden spoon. But I have a feeling that parents nowadays, I feel like they might not spank their kids as much. I'm not saying that you should spank them left and right, but when they stop listening to their parents, I feel like that's a good time to spank them so they'll stop doing that kind of behavior. Another thing that I want to talk about is something that's become a problem really recently. iPhones, iPads, any sort of electronic devices have become a serious issue for not just teenagers, but younger kids as well. I've seen a lot of people give their kids iPhones or some sort of iPod or something like that. Well, they'll be watching videos or playing a game all the time. When I was young, I played outside with my brothers. Kids nowadays, all they do is sit around and play games. And I'm not saying that's bad or anything, but it is a problem. And I feel like if they waited till their kids were 8 years old or even 10, kids may have some sort of imagination. I'm not saying that kids don't have imaginations. They have wonderful imaginations, but I think the devices that they use might take away from that a little bit. And that also relates with video games. So smaller kids, younger kids playing Xbox, PS4, or even games on the PC, I think that takes away from their social lives just a little bit. When they become older, I feel like that's a better time for them to start playing. But when they're maybe 6 or 7 years old and they're playing games like Fortnite or Call of Duty, I don't know. I feel like that may just take away a little bit from how they would live their life. And also, movies. Parents let their kids watch movies, or PG-13 movies, at younger ages. I know that I was about 10 or 11 when I first saw my first PG-13 movie. But kids nowadays, I think they're probably watching them when they're 8, maybe even 7 or 6. Not really sure what other parents do, but a lot of parents, they don't have a lot of rules and regulations for their kids when it comes to watching movies or playing video games, what kind of rating those movies and video games are. So if parents maybe waited for their kids to watch PG-13 movies when they were a little bit older and play video games that were rated M or even teen, just a little bit older, I think that might help them out a little bit. The last thing I want to cover is also about iPhones. At social gatherings, kids, a lot of the times, instead of communicating with other parents or kids, They'll be sitting around on their phones, just watching a video or doing something like that, when they could be interacting and talking with other people. And I'm not saying that using these is a bad thing. It is good for them to experience some of the stuff that you can do with an iPhone, but it takes away a little bit from the social lives. And if they didn't have these iPhones at such a young age, they might be more inclined to play with other kids, do some sort of activity like a game, or just talk with someone. Thank you.